future, human beings are given the opportunity to upload their consciousness versus possibly passing away. And the thing about uploading these virtual consciousness to these consciousness to like virtual heavens, they're all owned by corporations. And it's a comedy, it's a suspense thriller, it's a love story. It has the whole sci-fi element. It's a great show that everybody should be watching. And in a few days, our fourth and final season will be dropping.
And how exciting is that to say you've been on this journey, having achieved overall 4 seasons in total? Many TV series in the industry today, they might get one series, might get renewed for a second, and then maybe the journey ends. But in terms of upload, 4 seasons, I imagine as a cast you've grown very tight knit, almost like a family working over four seasons, and it must be almost like a blessing when a TV series runs for over 4 seasons.
Yeah, I definitely say it's a blessing, and it's 4 seasons, but it probably took us about 6 years to get out the 4 seasons. And I actually started as like a possible guest star recurring. And so now at the end of the journey to have been the entire time like a series regular, it really has been a gift. And we are, a cast that is like a family. We were fast friends when we met and started working together. I feel like a lot of the fun and love that you get to see on the show is not just because you have like amazing performers, but also because that like chemistry and energy, I really think that it shines through. And yeah, I mean, it's been a wonderful process, and I'm sure the rest of the cast and writers and producers and everybody that's been a part of the show, I think that we're all grateful to have been able to not only do 4 seasons, but also, some series come to an end and they never get the closure. And I think that we were lucky because, our series like survived like the pandemic, the writer's strike, the actor's strike, just so many like really big events in the world and entertainment industry. And I think that it's like so wonderful for us to at least be able to put a final button on the story.
And Zainab, what was it like working with creator Greg Daniels over these past, you mentioned 6 years sort of in
Yeah.
total, and what was it about? I know he started this project straight away once he was finished with The Office. He was practically writing it up straight away. And what was it about Craig that in terms of his vision, his journey for this show, that maybe sold you on this product?
I think that obviously Greg is like legendary, right? For The Office, for Parks and Recreation, for all of his work before Upload, right? And so I think that a certain element of like working with Greg is like we all came in, not just as fans, but also like trying to be almost like students of whatever he was willing to offer. And I think like the wonderful surprise that I received very early was how collaborative Greg is. Like he really is always seeking like the best end result, the best product. And so he wants to get to know the actor's instrument, like the actor's sensibility, like who you are in your real world, because he wants to bring the best parts of you, to the production. And I found that to be, especially for this being like my first like big job. This was the first time I was ever a series regular. And I feel like that really made me comfortable that he was willing to like hear me out and figure out the best way to like really have me comfortable in this role. I thought that that was probably like one of the gifts of working with Greg.
And we all know Robbie Amell from the sort of superhero sort of world in terms of his sort of legendary character as well. And he has experience leading a sort of a show in the past, a real mainstay in show. And obviously he's the headline name attached to Upload as well. But we get to see Robbie in a different role, a different personality, more sort of humor in terms of Upload as well. What was it like working under Robbie? Because obviously he is the catalyst in terms of the main protagonist, and the eyes are focused on in terms of being the main lead for the 4 seasons.
Yeah, they call it the number one on the call sheet, and Robbie was a really fantastic leader. He really set the tone for the film days. You know, he always had like a really positive attitude. He was always, you know, at work, like having fun and being professional and advocating. Like if I had like maybe a fear or an issue with like, oh, I have a new makeup artist or something, Robbie was definitely there, very supportive. Also, I know the world kind of sees him as like this attractive, like, you know, heartthrob. But what I love most about Robbie is how funny he is. Not only is he so funny, but he also laughs extremely hard. And like me being like the stand-up comedian on the set, yeah, I'm delivering like the words as Alicia, right? But when we're not filming, I'm like constantly dishing out like jokes and bits. And Robbie used to laugh so hard at the jokes that I would be giving out in between takes. And that just really allowed the day to just move, you know? And so yeah, I really he was like he was a great leader. And I do want to say, like, he was our male lead, and Andy is technically number two. But I think that they both, Andy Allo, I think that they both came together and like that same sort of like tenderness that you see on screen in terms of their characters' pursuit of one another. I think that same sort of like synergy showed up behind the scenes, and they both were just like great leads. You know, when Robbie was driving, Andy was the perfect passenger seat, and if Robbie wasn't driving, then Andy jumped in the driver's seat. I thought it was fantastic to have them.
And Zainab, in terms of upload, in terms of your character Alicia, for someone that hasn't probably seen the show in the past, can you tell us about the journey Alicia goes on throughout the four seasons of Upload?
Yeah, of course. Alicia starts out as just this hard worker, this character who is loyal, you know, to her friendship, very like, you know, speaks her mind, kind of has so many jobs because, you know, in this near future, it's a bit dystopic, you know. It's a the divide between the rich and the poor has gotten wider, right? And so Alicia starts off as this person that doesn't love any job, but she has to have jobs. And then as the seasons progress, not only does her relationships strengthen, not only do her ideals get tested because she's against like, you know, IRL people, I don't know, getting along or playing with uploads, right? But then she builds this like great relationship with the character Luke. She succeeds. Is constantly getting promotions, and then as people will see, spoiler alert, in season four, Alicia becomes like this sort of superhero, you know, in the upload sort of world. And I mean, I get to do stunts in the fourth season. And like the first season, I was just sitting at a desk, you know, like almost like in the role of like customer service as an angel. And by the fourth season, she's out in the world. She's out in different countries, like essentially trying to save the day. And so I think Alicia's like arc and journey has been epic.
And if I can bring it back to you now, Zainab, in terms of what's going on in the world of Zainab Johnson in terms of 2025. I know it's busy times. I know you're just across the pond from us, dare I say, in
Yeah.
terms of a neighboring country at the moment. Can you enlighten our audience and our listeners what is going on in the world of Zainab Johnson at the moment outside of Upload?
Yes, of course. I am currently in Edinburgh, Scotland, and I am doing the Fringe Festival here. I'm a stand-up comedian, which a lot of Upload fans discover. And so I am constantly touring. I am constantly doing live stand-up shows. And so if anyone anywhere in the world is interested in seeing me perform my stand-up live, all they have to do is go to my website, which is simply my name, zainabjohnson.com, and they can see all of my tour dates. And so I see Upload fans at my shows all the time. And so I welcome anybody and everybody who wants to come see my stand-up.
And Zainab, and just getting back to Upload again, it does almost feel bittersweet that the journey is coming to an end now after six seasons in terms of that family unit. But it also, does it give you now the more opportunities to get cast maybe in other projects in terms of movies, in terms of guest appearances on TV series? Because when you're tied to a series for a long period of time and a season regular, obviously there are opportunities that maybe pass you by tired, that you not can commit to? Is it almost exciting, sad in a one way, but exciting in another?
Yeah, well, just to correct you really quick, 4 seasons over 6 years. But yeah, all good things have to come to an end, right? I know that sounds cliche. Um, and the thing that I can say about Upload coming to an end, it's bittersweet in the way that I every season I looked forward to sort of like being in Vancouver and being sort of in this sort of insulated environment with Greg and Robbie and Kevin and Andy and Allegra and Owen, and all the other wonderful people who worked on the show. But the wonderful thing is I now get to say that I have this like wonderful experience on my resume. Like this is the thing that prepared me for whatever is coming next. And I think that that's like a beautiful thing. I look forward to it. It wasn't one of those series that like Amazon didn't like prevent us. I released an entire stand-up special on Amazon, which they supported, which was wonderful. And so, yeah, I'm definitely sad to see it come to an end, but I'm so happy to have Upload be a part of my journey, definitely.
And Zainab, I'm going to turn it over to you now for the final 30 seconds or so. You might enlighten all our audience or all our listeners why they should tune in to Prime Video on August the 25th, August the 25th to watch season 4 of Upload. And when they do, Zainab Johnson, what's in store for them?
When everyone tunes into Prime Video on August 25th to watch the fourth and final season of Upload, the complete download, um, uh, they are in for first of all closure. I think everybody's been wondering who does Nathan end up with, and you'll finally get to see that. You'll get to see Luke be the hero that he's always been. You get to see Alicia sort of grow and sort of graduate from the world, but you also get the things that every season promised you. You get the love, you get a bunch of big jokes, you get a lot of interesting things in terms of the world of technology and sci-fi. Yeah, you get a lot of fun. It's a ride. I would not miss it. I don't know where you guys are going to be on the 25th, but I would make sure it's parked in front of some sort of TV or